Netanyahu, if Hezbollah violates deal, we will strike. The Israeli Prime Minister says he is asking his ministers to approve a ceasefire agreement to end the current war between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. In a TV address, Benjamin Netanyahu said his government was ready for a ceasefire but would respond forcefully to any violation of a deal. The Iran-backed armed group and Israel have traded cross-border fire since October 2023. But fighting escalated in late September when Israel dramatically intensified aerial bombardments and launched a limited ground invasion. The conflict has been Lebanon's deadliest in decades, killing more than 3,823 people, say local officials. On Tuesday, Netanyahu said how long the ceasefire lasted would depend on what happened in Lebanon. If Hezbollah violates the agreement and attempts to rearm, we will strike. If they try to renew terror activities near the border, we will strike, he said. He also said ending the fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon, Israel's northern neighbor, would allow the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, to increase pressure on Hamas in Gaza and focus on the Iranian threat. Iran-backed Hezbollah started firing rockets into Israel a day after its ally Hamas carried out a wide-ranging attack on southern Israel on October 7, 2023, which killed about 1,200 people. From day 2 of the war, Hamas was counting on Hezbollah to fight by its side. With Hezbollah out of the picture, Hamas is left on its own, Netanyahu said. He also said ending fighting in Lebanon would give the IDF space to resupply weapons, munitions, and troops. The U.S., Israel's key backer, has led the charge in negotiating a ceasefire deal in Lebanon. Netanyahu still requires approval from his full cabinet, but this is expected to be granted as early as Tuesday evening. It is expected there will be an immediate 60-day ceasefire, which will see both Israeli forces and Hezbollah's armed presence withdraw from Lebanon south, the BBC's U.S. partner CBS says. Hezbollah fighters and weapons will be removed from the south of the Litani River, a boundary roughly 30 kilometers, 19 miles, north of the border, that was established during the last Israel-Hezbollah war in 2006. France, which administered Lebanon for more than 20 years in the last century and is a long-term ally, is also expected to be involved through the monitoring of the truce. Israel went on the offensive against Hezbollah, which is prescribed as a terrorist organization by Israel and many Western countries, after almost a year of cross-border fighting sparked by the war in Gaza. It says it wants to ensure the safe return of about 60,000 residents of northern Israeli areas displaced by rocket attacks, which Hezbollah launched in support of Palestinians the day after its ally Hamas's deadly attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. The war has been devastating for Lebanon, where, in addition to the 3,823 people killed and 15,859 injured, 1 million residents have been displaced in areas where Hezbollah holds sway. On the Israeli side, the hostilities have killed at least 82 soldiers and 47 civilians, authorities say. The World Bank estimates $8.5 billion, £6.8 billion, in economic losses and damage in Lebanon. Recovery will take time, and it is unknown how this will be funded. Hezbollah, too, has been devastated. Many of its leaders have been killed, including longtime Chief Hassan Nasrallah, in an IDF strike on Beirut on September 27. A week later, Israel also killed his presumed successor, Hashem Safieddine, in another strike. With much of its infrastructure also damaged, how Hezbollah will look after the war remains unclear. The group has been severely weakened, but it has not been destroyed. In Lebanon, it is also more than a militia. It is a political party with representation in parliament and a social organization with significant support among Shia Muslims. Hezbollah's opponents will probably see it as an opportunity to limit its influence. It was often described as a state within a state in Lebanon before the conflict, and many fear this could lead to internal violence. Since intensifying the fighting in September, Israel has carried out hundreds of daily strikes in Lebanon, targeting what it said were Hezbollah areas in the south, east, and in the capital Beirut. As reports emerged that Netanyahu was discussing a ceasefire deal with his cabinet on Tuesday, the IDF continued its strikes, targeting Beirut with strikes that killed at least 7 people.